Excuse me, teacher, and I want to ask a question.
Yes, please.
In the conditional sentence, can we use other modal? What other modal there? Except will and would, we can use can or could or should. Uh, can we use it?
We can use some other models like should, but I'm raising up the two, only one, only will and would, just so you everyone won't confuse, because in the first conditional we use will, and second, third we use would, but you can use other modal verbs too.
Uh, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do any other questions? Pertaining to the question about the other models that can be used in the conditional sentences, yeah, I would answer yes if you want to use the other models, but make sure you use only in the first conditional. For the second conditional and the third conditional, the model in the second conditional is fixed, and the model for the third conditional is fixed. However, in the first conditional, you can change the model according to the purpose. You can use will to express the certainty or something that is likely or not likely. And you can also use may or might here to express the possibility, something that not certain. And you can also use can to show the ability in the first conditional. And you can also use should if you want to suggest an obligation or give the advice. And for the strong obligation, you can also use must. So in the first conditional, the models can be, can vary. You can change the model according to the purpose. However, in the second conditional and the third conditional, the model in the second conditional is fixed would, and the model in the third conditional is fixed useful.
Thank you, teacher.
Because the models in the conditional, you can, depends on the purpose that you want to express in the result clause, and you can vary the model accordingly, according to the purpose of your, of your sentence or the purpose of the purpose of the writer that the writer want to send the message inside the sentence. So the writer or the speaker can vary or can change the model uh, according to the information that the writer want to convey or the speaker want to convey in the result clause of the conditional sentence. If there be no question from the other students, I would like to briefly talk about the conditional sentences before I give the floor to Gigi to present the next unit about passive voice. You would want a conditional sentence talk about condition and result as has been mentioned by Perea. And there are two clauses in conditional, a conditional clause and a result clause. And the result, it has the, it has the relationship between the condition and the result. So you need to use a conditional sentences. And since there are different types of conditional, so you need to study the different types of conditional and use them according to the information, the relationship of the information in the sentence. And as per represented, there are four common conditionals: zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, and third conditional. And another type, yeah, mixed conditional. Yeah, zero conditional is used for something that is generally true, or we can say something that is a fact. So when you use to talk about something that is a fact or something that is a general truth, we use the zero conditional, and you have to be careful with the verb tense in zero conditional. In the if clause or in the conditional clause, you use present simple, and in the result clause, the verb is also in its present simple form. And for the first conditional, it is used to talk about the possible future, and the result happens or not, it depends on the condition. If the condition is true, the result is true, and if the condition is not true, the result is not true. So we use first conditional to talk about a possible future, and you can use the modal verbs accordingly for the first conditional. And as I have mentioned earlier, you can vary the modal verb according to uh, the information that you want to convey in the result clause. If it is about advice, you can use should. About possibility, you can use might. About certainty, you can use will. And about the obligation or strong obligation, you can use must. And everyone, for the form of the first conditional, pay special attention to the verb forms in the two clauses in the first conditional. Uh, in the conditional clause, the verb must be in its present simple form. It is not like will, like can, like may, might, or should or must accordingly, according to the purpose that you want to convey in the sentence. Or, or, or we can say typically or commonly, the form is given with the word will, and you can also change will to the other modals, as I have mentioned earlier, according to the purpose of the information in the result clause of the sentence. And the next type of conditional is the second conditional. The second conditional is used for something that is unreal, unreal now, or unreal, we can say unreal present or unreal future, or unreal now, unreal future, something that is unreal now and unlikely in the future. I mean, now it is unreal and that thing is unlikely in the future, or we can say unreal future. So when you want to talk about something that is opposite to the truth or opposite to the reality now, or might be unlikely in the future, you use the second conditional. And as I have mentioned earlier, every conditional sentence has two clauses, the conditional clause and the result clause. And for the conditional clause of the second conditional, the verb must be in its past simple. I mean, you need to use the verb in the past, in the form of past simple. And for the result clause or for the main clause of this conditional sentence, you need to use would followed by the base form of the main verb. Use would followed by the base form of the main verb to express something that is opposite to the reality now and unlikely in the future. Or in short, we can say unreal now and unreal future. Or we use it to talk about something that related to the imagination. That imagination means something that is not real. So when you want to talk about something that is related to the imagination, or we can say something that is opposite to the truth now, you use the second conditional. Or something that is unlikely in the future, you use the second conditional. And the last type of the conditional is the third conditional. The third conditional talk about something that is unreal, but not unreal now, unreal future. We talk about unreal past, or something that was unreal in the past, or something that was opposite to the truth in the past. And when you use the third conditional, everyone, you have to be careful or pay special attention to the verb forms in the two clauses of the third conditional. For the conditional clause or I mean the conditional part of the conditional clause, the verb must be in past perfect. You need to use past perfect in the conditional clause. And for the result clause, you just would have followed by past participle of verb three. Everyone notice the form of the third conditional. For the conditional clause, the verb must be in past perfect. You use past perfect. I mean, the verb in the conditional clause in the third conditional in its past perfect form. And for the result clause, we use would have followed by past participle of verb three. These are the forms of the verb in the two clauses of the third conditional. And the purpose of using third conditional is to talk about the unreal past or something that was opposite to the truth in the past. Or we can say, I would say something that related to the regret. I mean, something happened already or something didn't happen and you regret it. And you can use third conditional to express your regret. Well, everyone, this is a quick summary or a short summary of all the conditional clause, all the conditional sentences: zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, third conditional. And after you study all of the conditional, suppose everyone choose the correct conditional sentence to present the information accordingly in your writing or in your speaking. All right, everyone, that's it for the conditional sentence. And I would give the floor to Gigi. Hello, Gigi.
Yes, good afternoon, teacher.
And Perea, please send your slide to our Telegram group in case that the other student need it. The GG2, after your presentation, remember to drop your PowerPoint files in our Telegram group.
Yes, teacher. So before I start my presentation, I would like to say excuse to everyone first because I'm not in
I'm
Phnom Penh.
not seeing your PowerPoint slide on the screen.
Yeah, teacher, I know, but before I started, I would like to say some excuse first because I'm in the province. I'm not in Phnom Penh, so it might be the inconvenient voice might heard through this call. So yes, teacher. Good afternoon, teacher and everyone. I am Gigi. So for today, I'm going to present about the passive voice. So this one is the second page is talking about my content. So before I talk about my contents, I would like to say first, passive voice is a grammatical construction where the subject of a sentence is the reception of the action of a sentence of the action of the verb rather than the doer. This contrasts with the active voice where the subjects perform the action. So one, talk about transitive and intransitive verbs. Second, what is active voice? Third is what is passive voice? For the grammatical structure of passive voice. Uh, 5, verb 10, used in passive voice. 6, passive without an agent. 7, when we use the passive voice. 8, why mastering the passive voice is important. 9, for common problem, write face with the passive voice. Number 10, how to form and use a passive voice correctly. So move to the next slide. So transitive and intransitive verb. Intransitive verbs cannot be made into the passive. Intransitive verb does not have an object. Example 1, I bought a coffee. Buy is a transitive verb, so it needs object. Example 2, I arrived late. The word arrive is intransitive verb, so it does not have any passive. So here, intransitive verbs are not followed by an object and do not have a passive form. Common intransitive verbs include the word arrive, come, go, recover, sleep, be, disagree, happen, run, stand, become, fall, look, sit, struggle. So some words in transitive verbs also do not have the passive form, and those words include become, cause, fit, have, resemble. The example is The example, she became a doctor. Next one, this dress cost $50. So as for the transitive and intransitive verb, we need to understand about it before we could learn about the passive voice. So in short, transitive verb, we need an object. It means that the action is being done to something or someone. Intransitive verb, we don't need object. The action is complete without affecting anything else. And why does I talk about this? Why do I talk about this? Because passive voice is formed by taking the object of the active sentence and making it as a subject. If there is no object, we cannot make the sentence into a passive voice. So in here, what is active voice? When the subject is the doer or the action verb, the verb is in active voice. Example, Rati teaches English. Nita kicked the ball hard. I did my homework. So you can see the form here, common form of active, subject plus verb and object. So here is the object, and here is the verb, and here is the object. The third point is, what is a passive voice? When the subject is the receiver of the action verb, the verb is in passive voice. Example, decisions are made by the boss. COVID-19 vaccines was founded in 2020. Dinner is cooked by my mom. So as you can see in the active voice, the subject is in the front. And when it comes to passive, the subject is here. Like the subject that refer to the person is become an object. So decision here, are subject, and are here is be, verb, past participle is made by the boss. So before we turn the sentence into the passive voice, we need the word by here. You can see the form here, we need the by, and then the subject in the front in the active become the passive, they will stand in the back. So as you can see, COVID-19 vaccine was founded in 2020. The third one, dinner is cooked by my mom. So if this one is in an active voice, my mom is cooking. My mom cook dinner. So when it's come to passive, dinner is in the front, and it's become a subject, and my mom is become an object, but we have to add the word by. So in short, when a sentence is written in active voice, the subjects perform the action. In passive voice, the object receive the action. In passive, the object of an active verb become the subject of the passive verb. Example, the active sentence is Dari helped the boy, and in the passive one, the boy was helped by Dari. So in here is the grammatical structure for passive. Passive are formed with be and a past participle. And here you can see the form, passive here, subject plus be plus verb, past participle plus by and plus object. You can see here, one be plus past participle. This one is was past. This one was here is coming from this one. Be here refer to was here. So in here, be, am, are is present. Being perfect tense. Being continuous tense. So in here, I did put some small column here. This one is present. This one is verb 2. This one is verb 3. So when it comes to the fifth point, verb 10 used in active and passive voice. This page is referred to the form of the active. So subject plus verb plus object. You can see the example here. The manager review the report. So this one is present simple, and passive voice structure, object plus be plus correct tense plus past participle, or we can say it verb 3. So the example is the report is review. So here are the form from active to passive. Simple present or present simple is be, am is are plus verb 3. Simple past was verb plus verb 3. Present continuous, am is are, being plus verb 3. Past continuous was verb, being plus verb 3. Present perfect has or have been or have been plus verb 3. Future will be plus verb 3. So when everything from the active sentence become the passive one, we have to use verb 3. So key points here, only transitive verb can be formed in passive. So the intransitive verb cannot make it as passive sentence. Passive without an agent. In many passive sentence, the agent can be omitted. Here are a few reasons to omit it. The agent. The agent is obvious or not important. Coffee is grown in Colombia. The agent is not known. Priceless artwork was stolen from the city museum yesterday. So in this slide, we can say that when the word is not important, we can cut the word. Like we don't need to talk. We can omit it. Next one, but still in the same part. But still in the same point. The writer wants to avoid saying who is responsible for actions or events. Example, the news story was leaked to the press over the weekend. The agent is a general noun, a person, people, or a pronoun. Someone, we, one, you, or they. Example, Turkey is eating at Thanksgiving. Be sure that to use an agent when it is important to know who performed a particular action. Romeo and Juliet was written by Shakespeare. So passive without an agent here, as I said before, if the word is not important or mentioned as someone, we want, or like when it does not mention the name, we can omit it. So when to use the passive voice, the person who does the action is unknown or not important or obvious. The answer, example, the answer have been filled in. You can see here the example one, the answer have been filled in is not mentioned any doer. The beautiful bridge was built in 1732. Bill was arrested last night. 3. When we do not wish to mention the doer of the action, it would be sound more impersonal and indirect. So example, it was decided not to follow the recommendations outlined in the report. Why mastering the passive voice is important. Improve clarity in writing. It can help writer choose between active and passive for the clearer meaning in their writing. Strengthen editing skill. Make it easier to identify vague, wordy, or incomplete sentences. Essential for academics, business, and technical writing. Passive voice is commonly used in report, research, and formal communication. Allow control of tone and focus. Useful creating a natural, objective, or formal style. Helps writer highlight important information. Focus shift from the doer to the actions or result when needed. Support accurate and professional writings. Balance use of active and passive leads to better quality sentence. So in here why mastering the passive voice is important. I would like to conclude it in a short way. We could clarify. It means that you can focus on the action, result, or an objects. One more, editing. It helps us to identify the wordy or maybe confusing the sentence easily. And one more things, professional writings such as academics or report, normally they often use the passive voice. And next one is the tone control. When we use the passive voice, it will be give us the natural tone, speaker or indirect. The reason why we mentioned that. So here is 4 common problem writer face with the passive voice. This one I got it from the book that teacher sent to the group. So as for the problem, why the writer always face in the passive voice in the writing. So first is missing accent, second is word likeness, third overuse, four awkward form. And what happened? Why is missing accent is no clear, like mentioned the word who, and word likeness longer or weaker sentence. And overuse, it means that we use it too much and we have to follow the writing. Awkward form is wrong or unnatural structure. So as I mentioned in the eighth point, passive verb is tone natural, but if we use a lot of passive verb in the writing, it could be sound unnatural in its structure. So why it's matter? So as for the missing agent, make writing vague or incomplete. Word likeness is reuse, clarify, and impact. Overuse is confuse the reader. It could give the reader in like the lacks of information, like that. So the awkward form, it could causes grammar errors or confusion to the reader. So in the 10 one is the last one. How to form and use passive voice correctly. Structure object plus be plus correct tense plus verb past participle verb 3 plus optional by plus agent. So tips for correct use. We can use only with transitive verb, add by plus agent only if needed. Choose passive when it makes sense. Unknown agents for more tone focus on actions. Um, Check tense matches active sentence, balance active and passive for clear writing. So before I move to my Q&A, I would like to talk about this one again. So the structure, object plus be, the correct tense, plus past participle or verb 3 or optional by agent. The tip is we should learn to understand the transitive verb. First, so we could make our passive voice more sound natural and in the correct grammar. So if you guys have any question, you can ask me. But yeah, if I could answer your question, I will. But if I cannot answer the question, I will ask teacher for help. Cho ខ្ញុំ present មួយថ្ងៃគ្រួតណាស់ណោះហ្នឹងចឹង Hello teacher, I just saw that you were joining. So actually my presentation has come to an end.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. I lost connection for a short while, but it's okay because I both read you from the beginning until the last few seconds of your presentation. All right, everyone. Do you have any question pertaining to the passive voice? If you have any, or you find some spots unclear after listening to the presentation, you can ask. You can raise a question and ask to the presenter. Do you have any question, everyone? No. Okay, class. Since you don't have any question, I would like to say thank you to Gigi, and you can stop your sharing. All right, everyone. Let's discuss the use of the passive voice. Who can tell me the difference between active voice and passive voice? Hello, class. You hear me? You hear me, everyone? And what is the difference between active and passive?
Hello, teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, teacher. Active voice is the subject that perform the actions, and passive voice, the subjects receive the action.
You're right. This is uh, the main difference between active and passive one. In the active voice, the subject does the action or performs the action, and in the passive voice, the subject receives the action of the verb. Or we can say the difference is the focus. When the focus is on the doer, the doer mean the one who performs the action. We use the active voice. And when the main focus is on the receiver, refer to something or someone that receive the action of the main verb, we organize the words or the language in the active voice, sorry, in the passive voice. And my next question is, what is the basic formula of passive? Everyone, what is the basic form of passive?
Yes, teacher. The basic one of the passive if object, if subject or objects in the front, and then plus be, and then plus past participle or verb three, and then by, and then the doer.
Just give me. Yeah, this is the basic form of passive everyone. It must have verb to be and verb three, or we can say verb past participle. So when you write the sentence or you use a sentence in the passive way, you have to make sure that your passive sentence contains this basic formula, verb to be and verb free. When we change the sentence from active to passive, we don't change the tense, everyone. We change only the voice. We change from the active voice to the passive voice. Tense is not changed. Present simple is still present simple. Past simple is still past simple. The difference is the way that we organize the language. We change from the present simple active to the present simple passive voice. So we want to remember when you change a sentence from an active to a passive, you don't change the tense. Present is still present, past is still past, present continuous is still present continuous. What we change is what we change is the way. The way to organize the way to organize the language. We change from the active voice to the passive voice. And be followed by verb 3 is the basic formula of passive, or we can say the basic form of passive. So in every sentence, every passive sentence, it must have what might consist of verb to be and verb 3. Everyone, there are some important notes here. Remember that the main verb in the passive sentence must be always. So when you write a sentence in the form of passive, make sure that all the main verbs in all tenses can be present simple, present continuous, present perfect, past simple, past continuous, or past perfect. Every tense, the main verb must be changed to verb 3. And when you change a sentence from an active to a passive, make sure that the main verb is in verb 3 and verb half participle. And verb to be changes with the tense. Remember, we want verb be to be here. Your be here changes with the tense. What is the present simple of be? Yeah, the present simple of be is am is or are. So when you change a verb from an active voice in the present simple, like people grow rice in Cambodia. This sentence is in present simple according to the verb here. We can see that verb is, yeah, there's only one verb, or we can say only one part verb, and without ed, or it is not in the past simple, so it must be a present simple, because in English the verb that has only one part, I mean the verb tense in the sentence that has only one part, uh, there are only two tenses, present simple and past simple. And since the verb is not a past simple verb, so it is a present simple. And when you change the sentence from an active to a passive sentence, everyone, remember not to change the tense, change only the voice, change from active voice to passive voice. And the object of the active voice or the object of the verb become the subject. Rice, the object of the verb grow in this active sentence, people grow rice in Cambodia. So when we change it to a passive voice, we use the object of the active voice of the verbs in the active voice to be the subject of the verb in the passive voice. And main verb in this sentence is grow, so you have to change the verb grow to verb 3, uh, because in passive voice, uh, the main verb must be changed to verb 3. In all tenses, you need to use main verb in verb 3. And verb to be take the place of the main verb, or verb to be changes with the tense. And since this one is a present simple, and the present simple of be is am is or are, and look at the subject. The subject is right. Right is a singular noun, so verb to be here changed to is. Right is grown in Cambodia. So this is how you remember the forms of the passive verb. Everyone, you don't have to I mean, you don't have to try to memorize all tenses. You just remember the basic form or the basic formula of passive, be followed by verb 3, and you can change the form of passive according to the tense. Remember to change main verb to verb 3 in all tenses when you change a sentence from active to passive. And verb to be take the place of the main verb. Verb to be takes the place of the main verb. If main verb is verb ing, be becomes being. Main verb is in present simple, be become am is are. And if the main verb is in past simple, be becomes was or were. And if main verb is in perfect, be become been. Remember, when you change a sentence from active to passive, yeah, you don't have to memorize every tense, active and the form of the verb in present simple, passive, and present simple, active. Just remember the basic form of passive, and you can make changes accordingly, according to the tense. Remember to use main verb in verb 3 and change verb to be, I mean, verb to be take the place of the main verb in the active. If the main verb in the active is in present simple, be become emisa. The main verb in the main verb in the active is past simple, be becomes was or were. The main verb in present continuous. So in the present continuous, main verb is in verb ing. So we take the place of main verb, and you have to use be in ing form being. And everyone keep the part of verb before the main verb. We change only the main verb. Change the main verb to be two parts, be followed by verb three. I mean, change the main verb to verb three, and verb to be take the place of the main verb. And in some tenses, verbs are, I mean, there are two parts of the verb, like verb to be followed by verb ing, have followed by verb three. So when you change only the main verb, do not change the part of verb before the main verb. Like in continuous, I am reading or I am writing a book. I am writing a book. There are two parts of verbs. Aim is one part, and writing is the other part. So when you change only writing. Change from writing to be passive. Uh, change write to verb three, and use verb to be to take the place of writing. So be becomes being, and write become written. And the part of verb before the main verb in the active is aim. So this verb to be before verb ing, you have to keep verb to be before verb ing. You don't change the verb, the part of verb before the main verb. Change only the main verb from the active to the passive. And to make sure that the sentence is in the passive, you have to guarantee two parts of the verb be followed by verb three. You get it here, everyone? Hello. Like for example, someone is cooking dinner in the kitchen. This is an active sentence because the subject someone here does the action or performs the action in the sentence. And cook is the main verb. And since this one is a continuous, there are two parts of verbs, verb to be and verb ing. And when we change, we don't change verb to be here, everyone. You can change verb to be, but you must keep verb to be, and you can change the form of be according to the subject. And what we change when we change a sentence from active to passive, we change only the main verb. And in this sentence, the main verb is cooking. So when we change it to passive, we change only the main verb cooking. And the part of verb before the main verb is must be kept. We cannot change. Like this one, when we want to change this sentence into a passive voice, we have to use the object of the verb in the active voice to be the subject. Dinner and verb to be must be kept because we change only the main verb to passive. We don't change the part of verb before the main verb. And cook, you have to change cook to verb three, and since cook is an irregular verb, uh, sorry, since cook is a regular verb, so we just add ed. And you have to use verb to be to take the place of the main verb. And since the main verb is verb ing, so be becomes being. Dinner is being cooked in the kitchen. This is how the sentence, how we change a sentence from active to passive. Everyone, don't change the part of verb before the main verb. We just change the main verb. As you can see in this example, cooking is the main verb in the present in the continuous tense or in the present continuous tense. As you can see in this active sentence, and we change cooking to being cooked. Because if you want to change a sentence from active to passive, make sure that your passive sentence contains two parts be followed by verb three, and main verb must be changed to verb three. Even though in this active sentence main verb is in ing, and when you use it in the passive, you have to change it to verb three, and verb to be take the place of main verb. Take the place of main verb. Main verb in ing, be becomes being, become verb ing. This is how a sentence is changed from active to passive. You get it, everyone?
Yes, teacher.
Yeah, this is a shortcut to remember the forms of the passive in all tenses. You just remember the basic form of the passive be verb three, and when you change a sentence from active to passive, you just change the main verb. Change the main verb to be two part, be verb 3, and main verb must be changed to verb 3, and verb to be take the place of the main verb, and the participle before the main verb must be kept. I'm going to give you another example of the verb tense with two parts, like present perfect or past perfect. I have written 2 books. We can say 2 grammar books and 3 vocabulary books. This sentence is in the active because I is the subject in this sentence and it performs the action in this sentence. It does not receive the action or it doesn't receive the action of the verb, but it does the action on the verb or it performs the action on the verb. And in this sentence, the verb have written. There are 2 parts, have and written. Have is not the main verb in one. Have is the helping verb or the auxiliary verb that have formed the perfect tense. And the main verb is written. Written is the main verb. So when we don't change this. The part of verb before the main verb must be kept, and you can change the form of it accordingly. But you cannot change it to we don't change it or we don't omit it. We must keep it, and we just change the form according to the subject. Like for example, have, there are 2 forms, have and have for the present. So according to the subject in the I mean, according to the subject of the passive voice, after you change a sentence from the active to the passive, you use the object of the passive active voice to be the subject of the passive voice. And if the object in the active voice is a plural noun, and for example, the subject in the active voice is singular noun and the object is a plural noun. And when you change the sentence from active to passive, the plural noun becomes the subject. And if there are 2 parts of verb, you have to change the verb before the main verb to agree with, to make sure that it agree with the subject. Like here, 2 grammar books and 3 vocabulary books. And have must be kept because this one is not the main verb. We just change the main verb, and the main verb is already in verb 3, so we just rewrite it and make sure that it has verb to be before the main verb, and verb to be take the place of main verb, and the main verb in the active sentence is in verb 3. So what is the verb 3 of be? Then the past participle of be is been. This is how a sentence is changed from active to passive. 2 grammar books and 3 vocabulary books have been written. Make sure your passive sentence has these 2 parts, be in verb 3. Main verb must be in verb 3. All tenses, the main verb of the passive voice must be in its past participle form or in its verb 3 form. And verb to be take the place of the main verb. Verb to be take the place of the main verb. For the tense that has only one part of the verb, you just use verb to be to take the place of the main verb and change main verb to verb 3. And for the tenses like present continuous, present perfect, past continuous, past perfect, or uh, future simple, there are 2 parts of the verb. When you change the active to passive, you change only the main verb, the part of verb before the main verb, or the helping verb before the main verb, or the modal verb before the main verb. We don't change. We must keep them before before the main verb, and we just change the main verb to the form of passive be followed by verb 3. It's a sum up about the use of the passive. Yeah, passive is important, everyone, because passive is commonly used in writing. In writing, the writer try to be impersonal or try to be indirect. And if you want your sentence to be impersonal, to be indirect, you should use the passive word, because in the passive sentence, sometimes the doer, and in many cases, the doer is not mentioned in the sentence. So you can make your information to be impersonal or to be indirect. And the difference between the active and the passive is that the active, the main focus of the active is on the doer. When you want to focus on the doer, the performer of the action, you want to focus on who does something. you use the active. And when you want to focus on the receiver of the action or receiver of the action in the main verb, or you just want to focus on what happens. When the focus is on what happens, use the passive. And when the focus on who does something to happen, who caused something to happen, when the focus is on who causes something to happen, you use the active. And when you just want to use passive, not the active. And we change active, we just change the voice from the active voice to the passive voice. We don't change the tensing the voice. Change from the active voice to the passive voice. And the object of the active sentence becomes the subject of the passive voice. And and when you want to change a sentence from active to passive, you have to remember the main verb. And the basic form of passive is be followed by verb 3. And main verb in passive sentence must be in its past participle form and in verb 3 form. And verb to be take the place of the main verb. Verb to be takes the place of the main verb. The part of verb before the main verb must be kept. You cannot change it. Does anyone have any question about passive? If you found some spot unclear, you can ask and I'm gonna clarify.
Excuse me, teacher, I have a question. For the passive voice, what about
Mhm.
the future perfect continuous tense and past perfect continuous tense?
Well, there are four common tenses that are not commonly used in the passive void. You have future perfect continuous, uh, past perfect continuous, present perfect continuous. These are the three common tenses, the three tenses that are not commonly used in the passive void. And another one, even future perfect is also not common in the passive void, but yeah, it is used in the passive void, future perfect, but it is not common. And the other three tenses, uh, present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, and future perfect continuous are seldom used in the passive. Did I answer your question?
So what about the form of those tense we use been
Since they
between?
are not used in the since they are not used in the continuous, so you don't have to care about their forms because they are not used in the passive.
Thank you, teacher.
Yeah. Present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, and future perfect continuous. They are not used in the passive, so you don't have to care about how to form uh, these tenses in the passive. Any concerns everyone about passive or even the conditional? If you have any question, you can ask because we have been through two units, conditional sentences and passive voice. All right, everyone. If you don't have any question, I'm going to end our live session, and I'm going to task you with the conditional and passive in our Telegram group. I'm gonna send the task what you to do in our Telegram, and I'm gonna send the link of the Google Classroom into our Telegram group, and you have about 40 minutes to complete this task and submit your answer in Google Classroom. You get it, everyone?
Yes, teacher.
The task will be given after the after I end the meeting. I'm gonna send the task to the Telegram, and I'm gonna link to join the Google Classroom in Telegram as well, and hit the link to join our Google Classroom, and you can and you complete the task. You can use your handwriting to write the answer according to the assigned number, and submit your answer in Google Classroom in in due date. Sorry, in due time. All right, everyone. Thank you for the day, and I'm going to end our meeting and see you all next week. And remember to complete the task and submit on time. Goodbye.